Welcome to the Michigan Man Podcast on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew, for Wolverine fans from coast to coast. Go Blue and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. One of the key players in helping bring Jim Harbaugh back home to Michigan joins me today on our Game Day segment. Jay Flannelly, also known as the Beav, will join me to talk Jim Harbaugh, satellite camps, and much more, including his take on what the NFL is trying to accomplish by continuing what many see as their ridiculous and misguided assault on Tom Brady. First, a few news and notes to get us started. We are on our summer programming schedule of 2 shows a month, so next scheduled show will be May 25th. From time to time this summer, I might throw up a Michigan Man Extra show if we have a guest I think you will find interesting. So if his schedule allows, next week we might check in with Shemmy Schembeckler and find out what he's up to and get his thoughts on his friend and former babysitter, Jim Harbaugh, and in general, what his expectations are for the upcoming season. When that show is ready to publish, I will give you some advance warning on Twitter or Facebook. All of us are excited about the upcoming season. The way too early polls and preseason magazines are now beginning to appear. The expectations are very high for this year's team, as they should be. If you would like to share some of your hopes or thoughts on the upcoming season, or really anything else Maize and Blue, you can leave me a voicemail at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Open 24/7 for your calls. Or you can email me at the Michigan Man Podcast at yahoo.com. That's the Michigan Man Podcast at yahoo.com. I would enjoy hearing from you. When John U. Bacon's best-selling book, The Endzone, was published last summer, few of us knew what was going on behind the scenes in the recruitment of Jim Harbaugh. One of the central players in the process was Jay Flannelly, better known in Michigan circles as the Beav. Jay was one of Tom Brady's roommates at Michigan and enlisted Tom in getting in touch with Jim to help convince him to come on home. We know the rest of the story. The Beav joins me next on our Game Day segment with his take on Jim Harbaugh, Michigan football, what the NFL is doing to Tom Brady, and much, much more. Here on the Michigan Man on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Game Day segment this week is a gentleman who really needs no introduction to the Michigan faithful, but we'll give him one anyway. We all remember John U. Bacon's wonderful book, Endzone, that was out last year. And this gentleman's big part, even though he's probably going to say it wasn't a big part, it was a big part in helping get Coach Jim Harbaugh back home to Ann Arbor. With us today, I think this is the third time we've had Jay Flannelly, also known as the Beav, on the show. So what's up, Jay?
Mike, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for having me back again.
Well, it's wonderful.
And by the way, my role in getting Jim Harbaugh back here is a little bit magnified, but the two people have the single biggest role in him being here are Trent Baalke and Jed York, but that's a whole other book that John should write. But I'm glad he's here. He's doing a tremendous job. He's a great guy. The whole environment has changed. I was on with you right after the Michigan State game. And anybody who knows me knows how much I hate that place and that school. And if you listen to me after that, as horrific as that loss was, because I love Blake O'Neill, and I love those seniors, Carriage, Bold, and all those senior kids from that team, and Jake, obviously, I wasn't upset. Because you know why? Because after watching what they had done to us physically the last 7 years, pushing us around, cheap shotting our quarterback, trying to break our quarterback's neck, and nobody did anything. You didn't see any of that nonsense, because Jim Harbaugh has brought back Michigan football. And what Michigan football is, we play as a team, we play physical, we don't do stupid things. And that's what we showed in that game. Imagine that. You have a coach who knows what's going on when his quarterback's getting hit. So things like that's going on. It's just eyeball test. And that was year one. Remember this. That will be the least talented team that Jim Harbaugh has here at the University of Michigan. Think about that, fans.
Well, I thought today, Jay, we'd just sort of throw some topics out near and dear to your heart and let you go and just get your take on some of these things. First off is it has been a hot topic all winter. The NCAA now resolution, I think it's been a resolution to the satellite camp fiasco. What's your take on all of that?
Talked a lot about this on Twitter and Facebook, and hats off to the leaders of our university, President Slissel, our new AD, Ward Manuel, who's going to do great things, and a really good friend of mine, Regent Andrea Newman, who was on this the minute this happened. This was, let's punish Jim Harbaugh and screw kids. And I'm not talking about Jabril Peppers, Jake Butt, and Jordan Lewis, and, the Khalid Hill, I think's his name, on Michigan. All these guys tweeted and talked about this, and I'm a really good example of guys like that. I wasn't a great player in high school. I came from a great team. I went to a lot of camps, and what do you know? The Michigan coaches, hey, you know what? This guy, he might be closer to Jerry Lewis and Jerry Rice in talent, but he'd be a good guy to have around our team. And that's how you get discovered. And there's guys who go to MAC schools. I mean, the best wide receiver in the NFL right now is Antonio Brown. He went to a MAC school. You find guys. You find players at these camps. They learn something. They learn something about nutrition. If you know anything about Coach Harbaugh, he brings in superstars from all over the place for these camps, and he really takes this stuff seriously. So it's a great advantage for him and others. And, the best take I saw on all this, you got Hugh Freeze crying about, I'm going to spend time with my family. He's too busy handing out drugs and money to players, but, he's out doing stuff like that. You got Tommy Tuberville, the head coach of Cincinnati, who's done a lot of things and coached a lot of places, said, if you don't want to do satellite camps, you don't have to do them. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. Don't do it. So, that's what the satellite camp is. You're depriving kids the ability to be seen and educated. That's constitutional law. It's the Sherman Antitrust Act. And if you go on Twitter, when this all happened, I mentioned Regent Newman. Regent Newman had lawyers and other people sending her cases. I have the same thing with that in Deflategate all the time. So, when you do these things because you don't like Jim Harbaugh, and God forbid you have to work a little hard because big bad Jim Harbaugh is going to come kick your ass, you have to come and do something to stop him. Oh, my God, let's punish kids because I don't want to work an extra month. Oh, my God. These guys are making $4 and $5 million a year. And the SEC has a reason to be concerned because if you watched our bowl game, that was the second best team in the SEC, and Jim went through them like crap through a goose. So, so remember that. And that's what this is about. It has nothing to do with, we're worried about, working and traveling and, did the state of Michigan scream and holler when Alabama came and got Mark Ingram out of upstate when he went to Alabama? Stuff happens. Recruiting is about opportunities and being seen, and that's all it is, and that's what this is about. And the kids won when this got reversed.
As I said when I was asking you the question, Jay, I think this is final resolution, but do you think that Nick Saban and the boys down there in the SEC and the ACC are not done with this yet?
If they are not, I have some good insight that my friends from the Department of Justice might be snooping around. So if they want to, and by the way, those things don't happen. Very powerful people get involved when you mess with certain schools and certain people that have, leadership with a lot of connections, like people like Mark Bernstein and Regent Andrea Newman and all these other people we have. These are big people. And when you start messing with them over stupid, silly stuff, things happen real fast. So it's not a coincidence that this happened within a month of this happened where the Department of Justice went down there. We got some people, we are very blessed here at the University of Michigan. We have people like President Slissel and AD Manuel and Regent Bernstein and Regent Newman because they're on Twitter, they talk to their fans. And that was one of the things, and their students, that was one of the important things that happened where we cleansed out the last athletic director. Instead of fighting with people on the internet in the middle of the night, our regents are helping people out, and they're stepping up, and they're listening to their constituents. And that's what their job is. These coaches, if they're like Regent Newman, Regent Bernstein, President Slessel, Coach Harbaugh, and AD Manuel, will listen to their people. If you really think that Alabama can't recruit players, you got to be kidding me. You don't think Alabama can recruit? Now, Ole Miss is a whole other problem. That's a whole other thing. But I'm talking about the good superpower teams. Jimbo Fisher shouldn't be worried about recruiting players. These guys, And you see people like Mike Leach coming out, and God bless him, Rich Rod, after what he went through when he was here, coming out and defending Jim. That's good, because these guys are out on the road. They're football coaches. It's their job to go and find players and get good kids and get them into school and get them through school and get them in the NFL, whatever else they want to do with their lives. That's all it's about.
Well, it's Mother's Day today as Jay and I record this piece for next week's show, or this week's show, I should say. And, Jim was tweeting out Happy Mother's Day to Michigan moms this morning before we recorded. He's soon going to be giving the commencement at Paramus Catholic. The guy just never stops, does he?
I'm completely nuts, and he puts me to shame. So, he's Coach Harbaugh's piece of work. He's everything and everything I thought he was. He's a good guy, too. That's the thing that people, he looks out for little people. I'm a good example. But he really goes out and gets involved in the community. I went to the event Thursday night, the softball home run derby and tournament, and I talked to his wife, Sarah, and everybody knows my involvement with the Cars and Chad Tuff, and what they did for Chad was incredible. Every event I go to Sarah, I see Sarah at, I give her Sour Patch Gum, if you know the video she recorded where she got Sour Patch Gum for Chad the first time she bought them. I bring her 2 packs of Sour Patch Gum every time I see her now. So they do a lot of great things, done a lot of big things in the community. I was involved in the Big Fish musical thing. He was involved with his son James is in it. He showed up at the Ultimate Frisbee practice last year, which was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. I get 2 or 3 calls a week or texts from people saying, "You got to go to Jim out of this place. He's in Knights downtown and they can't get him out," and stuff like that. It's just normal guy who walks around town and creates a mob scene. It's like having the members of the Beatles, but it's just one guy. It's our football coach. It's crazy. It's a lot of fun.
Well, you mentioned last week Rick Leach and Coach Harbaugh squared off in that home run derby. A lot of fun. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to talk about Rick. That was for the breast cancer, the pink softball program that Coach Hutch does, and congrats to Coach Hutch for setting she's the NCAA wins record on softball. But the number one thing with that was they're raising for pink breast cancer awareness, and Sarah was the MC. But my involvement was more about Rick Leach, who is a good friend of mine, and he reached out to me to help him out and come support him and Jim. But what we all need to do as Michigan fans and a Michigan family is come out and support Rick Leach right now. He's going through a tough time. His dad is very ill. His mother's had some health problems. Rick just turned 59. He's a good guy. I know a lot of people are upset about some comments he made a couple of years ago when Rich Rod was here about Coach Carr. Listen, nobody walking the face of the earth loves Lloyd Carr more than me. Lloyd Carr is like my second dad. Rick was fed some bad information. He made a bad mistake. We need to move on. Our head football coach here, Jim Harbaugh, when he was the coach of Stanford, made some comments about Michigan. Academics. He apologized for it, fixed it. It's forgiven and forgotten. We move on. That's what we need to do for Rick Leach here. If you don't know this, guess who Jim Harbaugh's favorite player was and hero was growing up? He still imitates and mimics him. He did it Thursday night. Rick Leach. Rick's going to need us. He's got 2 ill parents. Nobody loves Michigan more than Rick Leach. We need to come out and support him, move on from the stupidity of 6-7 years ago. That's over, gone. Our bright lights ahead. Let's go. I could keep you here until next Sunday naming names of people who did stupid stuff for the last 7 years. And you'd be shocked and surprised at some of them. But it's over. It's move on. We support Coach Harbaugh, support Rick, support our program. There's a reason why Tom Brady's coming back to town. Things are happening. We got a good staff. We got a bright future. We got great things ahead. Support everybody.
Well, let's talk, Jay, about another cause that is very close to your heart, the Chad Tuff Foundation. Of course, Angelique Shengelis did a really nice piece in the Detroit News last week. Talk about what's going on with Chad Tuff Foundation and why we need to support that.
It's a tough day, obviously. Tammy's going to have a tough day today with Chad, Mother's Day. Love Jason, her husband, he's like my brother. I love him. Nobody should have to bury a 5-year-old. There's particularly family as good as that who, Tammy doesn't like when I say this, but she saved a lot of kids at Mott's when she worked there, and she still does today. The sad and depressing thing is with Chad Tuff Facebook and Twitter feeds and everything that you see these other kids suffering with this awful disease, and the DIPG and brain tumors. My friends, the Brush sisters here in town, the managers of Expresso Royales on Southview and State Street, their mother died of brain tumor. So, I'm not a doctor. I almost failed anatomy and physiology in college. But we need to stop this thing. And, Tammy and Jason, they got Chad, but we're going to turn this around and take that thing out because there's just too many of us making noise about it. Tammy and Jason never stop. They're always out doing something. They're always doing fundraisers. They announced their, I believe it's the 3rd annual run they're doing in September. And there's always stuff going on with that. And very excited. Direction, Tammy and Jason are just unbelievable people. They're doing a great job of that.
With us this week on our Game Day segment is Jay Flannelly, also known as the Beav. And, of course, we all know as Michigan fans about the Beav. We've talked about some football, Jay. I wanted to get your take on some of the other topics right now around the Michigan athletic scene. Basketball undergoing some changes. A few transfers in the offseason. We have 2 new assistant coaches on board, two good young coaches. But as long as Coach B is here, you got to feel like we're going to stay right on track, aren't we?
You just summarized it really, really well. And we were just talking about Chad. Probably the single biggest supporter here in town of the Chad Tough Foundation has been Coach Beeline. Unbelievable guy. I deal with him all the time at Pete's House. He's just a great guy. And very glad to have him here. And I know people notice this. Our new athletic directors had a little bit of success with basketball programs. So I think Coach Beeline should be very excited. A couple of years ago, he had a major changeover in his staff, and we went on a really big run. A couple of his original staff members left and got other jobs. Back to Jerry Dunn and those guys. So I'm not that overly concerned. I honestly have a feeling if Coach Beeline saw me when I was a sophomore in high school, he turned me into an NBA player. So I'm not worried about him. So that's the least of our problems.
Another name I'm going to throw at you, Jay, is Carol Hutchins.
It's funny you bring that up because I was at the softball tournament Thursday night. When I was in school here, I used to go to the games all the time. And Mike, there were like 100 people in the stands when I used to go to the games, and that was a good day. It got to the point where if I yelled at the young Hutch, could look up at the stands and I'd get the Hutch evil eye, and I'd have to sit down. So, but it's incredible what they've done. The facility is just such upgrades, and you never hear any negative things about the kids being in trouble, and they all graduate. I'm down there with Rick Leach and all the guys, and I met Olivia, the captain, number 5, and they couldn't be nicer people, and just such a good group, and they're always out doing stuff in the community. Again, another group that was huge with Chad. Just really good people. And the thing about Hutch well, first of all, I'm scared to death of her, which is hilarious. I was talking to Angelique about this. I'm more scared of her than I am of Coach Carr. But she's just tough. But the thing that is amazing, and I used to get this all the time when they first started getting really good in the early 90s when I was here. Bonnie and Hutch and Coach Brundage would go out and recruit, and they get, you'll never win. It's West Coast sport that's not warm enough, and look how good they've done. And they're dealing with a severe strategic advantage there in recruiting, and because of the weather factor, and they just do every year they're contending and doing really, really good, and it's fun to watch. Go out and support them if you can. I know their season's pretty much over as far as home games, unless they get some regionals, but they go to Penn State, I believe, for the tournament. And heck, the baseball team's doing great too. Coach Bakich is just doing great stuff there.
Baseball team playing well. Carol Hutchins in softball, Jay. 9th consecutive Big Ten championship over the weekend. That is just astounding.
And just think about that stat. And the league is getting better too. It's starting to really step up too. So it's incredible what she's done. She'll kill me for saying this, but not bad for a Sparty. But a lot of fun and a lot of titles, trophies, and hopefully she gets number 2. And if you need to know what I mean when I say number 2, you're not paying attention. So
yeah, you got it.
She's got a heck of a team this year. They have an opportunity to do and get that number 2.
Another name I'm going to throw at you here. He's, of course, new on the not new on the Michigan athletics scene. New to his current job as athletic director, Ward Manuel. You got to think long-term, this guy is a great fit for the University of Michigan.
Really good friends with my buddy, Veda Murray. Did great things when he was here as an assistant, and then went in there over to UConn. And the thing that he did that nobody talks about enough or consistently talks about, he's hired Kevin Ollie, but a lot of people didn't think it was a good fit. And what did Kevin Ollie do in his first year, Mike, as the head coach of UConn basketball? Won the national championship.
Absolutely.
And that was not a good environment he came into, because there's a lot of Jim Calhoun was the coach there forever. He was a big deal, and they had to move on from him, and because of a lot of stuff going on, and he was sick among other things. But he came in, and this is all you know about Ward is Gino likes him. I think if you just Google the name Gino, the rest of Gino will come up, because the guy loses like once every 5 years. As a matter of fact, my buddy, our women's basketball coach, Kim Barnes-Rico, beat him in stores 1 year, and that broke a bunch of records that they were trying to, hadn't lost in the Big East, hadn't lost at home, and Kim beat them when she was at St. John's. So that should be on the top of her resume. There's another coach, by the way, who's going to do great things, and starting to already with the women's team. She's got hotshot sophomore and a hotshot freshman, so Flaherty and Tony right now, and they got other kids coming in. They get really going to get good really, really fast. But their single biggest problem is the women's Big Ten is ridiculous. And most of these teams in the Big Ten, when these non-revenue sports are added in, they usually get weaker teams, like the football team. Rutgers and Maryland are not that good at football. Well, in women's basketball, Rutgers and Maryland are both awesome. So that's something they got added in, particularly Maryland. Maryland is incredible, but they got added in. So we have to see how that goes. But that's the team. That's my bullet team, Mike. In the next 2 to 3 years, I'm putting some pressure on Coach Kim here, but she doesn't care. She's good.
Jay, next question for you, and I know this will get your motor racing. It's about
does it involve the NFL?
It does.
Okay,
I had to bring it up.
I have another name for the NFL, Mike, but I can't share it. This is a family station, so I can't use that. I'll eliminate the lines and keep it clean here. It's nice bleeping league, but keep going.
Well, you thought this whole situation was over with Tom, and the commissioner just will not give up.
You want me to break it down for you? You're on the right path.
Go on.
But this is what this is about. It has nothing to do with deflated footballs and air pressure and PSI. And people need to stop talking about that. You can have a fourth grader in a science class explain this to you. You could get John Falk on to explain it to you. By the way, the reason why John Falk exists and has a job is because footballs deflate during games. What this is about, it is a three-letter word. It's the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. The commissioner wants powers to do whatever he wants to players. Honestly, if he wanted to spend Tom for 2 years, he could have done it. And I want people to understand this, and this is very important. In 2011, there was a lawsuit filed by the NFL Players Association to decertify the union to prevent the lockout that the owners are doing. And the leaders of that, the name of the lawsuit was Brady versus the NFL. But the other two guys who are the leaders of this, and Drew Brees and Peyton Manning. Drew Brees is the most active because he's very heavy in the Players Association. You know what, Mike, all three of those guys have in common now, besides being really good quarterbacks? They've all had legal issues with the NFL. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Really kind of interesting that those three guys who sued the NFL to decertify the union and, get the CBA under control and help their, this isn't about Tom Brady. This is about the third string left guard on the Detroit Lions. Because if he's sitting in the locker room right now, oh my God, look at what they're doing to Tom Brady over this nonsense. What are they going to do to me? And that's what this is about. It's about the control of the commissioner. He's power drunk and he wants to be judge, jury, and executioner. In the United States, that's not fair, but here's the problem. The players signed a collective bargaining agreement that was bad. But here's their problem. They're millionaires dealing with billionaires. The owners don't need to play. They can sit out for 2 or 3 years. The players do. Because, NFL, not for long, you can get injured and have your career ended in 10 seconds. So these guys, all these people screaming at the players signed a bad deal. They don't really have a choice. And DeMaurice Smith and the union has done a good job. Now, what's going to happen here is they're going to use the leverage of the control of suspensions, and they're going to the players are going to have to give them something, whether it's an 18-game season, less guaranteed money, so forth and that type of thing. It's leverage. It's a bargaining chip at this point. And I will say this again, and I've been saying it the minute it happens, Tom Brady will never serve a game. He'll go to court. They can win all their injunctions and all this. Tom will retire healthy before he will sit a game. He did nothing wrong. He didn't tell anybody to do anything wrong. The NFL doesn't even know what happened to the footballs or what happens to the footballs during games. It was a frame job, and these idiots from the NFL trusted two organizations who the Patriots routinely beat like eggs, including the guy in Indianapolis who's a drug-dealing drug addict and had a woman die in his house. Where's that report? Look that up. Google that. Mike, you had that happen the other night, right? A woman just died in your house, and it, just disappeared, right? Yeah, he's an owner in the NFL, okay? So when stuff like that happens, and then they're trying to fry my friends over this nonsense, because, oh my God, Mr. Kraft beats us, and Bill Belichick's mean to the media, and you got the idiots from ESPN sabotaging the media and putting up bad information. So that's all this is. It's a personal power play thing. Yet when Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson and Greg Hardy get in trouble, and the NFL needs somebody to go on the radio every week with Jim Gray to promote their league and tell me how great the league is, who's the first person they call, Mike? Who'd they put on the radio, Mike?
You got it. Tell us. I know.
Number 12, Tom Brady. But he's such a lying, cheating dirtbag, So it's like, and by the way, how did he do last year with those perfectly inflated football?
Pretty darn well.
The guy who beat him and won the Super Bowl is getting PDs delivered to his house. And I won't even touch on the Tennessee thing because that's old news. And the story's changed 1,400 times on that thing. We've all had PDs delivered to our wife at home. It just always happens. I did that the other night too, Mike. And you were getting rid of the body in your house, and we've all done that. Getting neck surgery. And by the way, I don't even know what the HGH PD policy was back when Manning supposedly did that. So I don't even know what the rules are about that happening. And God, you know what? If I got major neck surgery and I was trying to play in the NFL too, I'd probably get HGH delivered to my house too. But I wouldn't involve my wife. So, see, Mike, you got me going. You just brought up the NFL and just roll tape. And the other part of it is, I should add to this also. They're also after Tom's lawyer, Jeffrey Kessler. Yeah. And he goes back with the NFL with the Freeman McNeil case in the early 90s. Explain to people, this is a 25-year-old case. They used to have this thing called Plan B free agency when players did not have free agency until like 1988. And then when they started to have free agency, they had Plan B free agency. Basically, you could protect, I think it was 35 players on your roster. Yeah. And the rest of the players were in a Plan B pool, and guys could sign with other teams. Well, Freeman McNeil was on the Jets, and he was a really good running back. But he was on a team that had 4 or 5 running backs. So they platooned these backs and hurt his stats. And he wanted to go somewhere else and get paid. And he couldn't because of Plan B free agency. And Jeffrey Kessler was his lawyer and sued the league and set the path for the Rod Woodson, Reggie White lawsuit, which gave everybody free agency unless you were on a franchise tag or transition tag. And Mr. Kessler was also their lawyer. So the NFL wants to take him out. They beat him one time in court. They beat Kessler one time in court. Amazingly, it was Bill Belichick leaving the Jets to go to the Patriots contract. That was the only time that Kessler's lost the NFL. And he ain't losing this case either. If he does, it's because of the CBA. But, they're after Kessler. They want to take Kessler out too. That's a big part of this here. This is funny, Mike. I got a guy who went to Michigan, Harvard, and he now works in MIT, and he now works at MIT. John Carrier's his name. He sends me email updates about 2 or 3 times a month about Deflategate science and stuff, and he sent me updates. You could have him on your show, and literally in 10 minutes, he would eliminate everything the NFL has outlined. It's ridiculously embarrassing. And by the way, he could do it in English, like where a simpleton like me can understand what he's talking about, instead of air pressure and the circumference of the air and all this, and like simple things like where the ball was in the bag, the air pressure where the ball in the bag was, or where it was, or just simple stuff. You'd be amazed at this guy.
Well, with us on our game day segment this day, and always a lot of fun on a lot of topics, is Jay Flannelly, also known to all of we Michigan faithful as the Beav. Jay, always a pleasure having you on the show. It's a standing invitation to come on anytime you'd like. So, again, this summer we'll get you back on and talk about whatever you want.
We should mention Kathy, my my new super agent business partner, Kathy Hoekstra. You'll probably have her on too. She knows her stuff. But very excited about the upcoming season. Always good to be on with you, Mike. And you could ask me about the Mets. How about our new slugger, Bartolo Colon? So one of the greatest moments I've ever seen in a baseball game. I'm completely serious. It was hilarious. But get excited. Enjoy the summer, and all the mothers and moms out there today, have a great day, and go Blue.
Thanks to Jay Flannelly, the Beav, for being our guest today. Wolverine Quick Hits is next as we wrap it up for another week here on The Michigan Man on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. On Wolverine Quick Hits today, the number 2 ranked University of Michigan softball team closed out the final regular season weekend in style, cruising to an 8-0 5-inning decision against Rutgers on Sunday afternoon in front of a capacity crowd of 2,473 at the Wilpon Complex, home of Alumni Field. The Wolverines extended their win streak to 17 straight games. Seniors largely headlined U of M's annual Senior Day game, notably center fielder Sierra Lawrence, who went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs, right fielder Kelly Sisala with 2 hits, and second baseman Sierra Romero, who knocked out a solo home run, her third of the weekend, in her first plate appearance. Romero's home run gave Michigan an immediate lead in the first inning. She connected with the 2-0 pitch and lined it deep into the right field stands for her 16th home run of the season. Michigan, which clinched its 9th straight Big Ten Conference title over the weekend, celebrated the achievement along with its senior class after the game. The Wolverines ended the Big Ten season with a 21-2 record, winning 16 consecutive league games after dropping 2 of their first 7. They will begin Big Ten tournament play on Friday at Penn State. Every Michigan player either scored or knocked in a run on Sunday as the number 21 ranked University of Michigan baseball team forced a 12-5 victory over the visiting Rutgers Scarlet Knights at the Wilpon Complex, home of Ray Fisher Stadium. The win in the series finale marks Michigan's 5th series sweep of the season. They will travel to Mount Pleasant for a midweek game against Central and then head down to Columbus for a 3-game weekend set with Ohio State. Michigan is 34-12 overall, 12-5 in the Big Ten, heading into this week's action. Like us on Facebook at The Michigan Man Podcast, and follow us on Twitter at The Michigan Man, where you can also follow Wolverine Sports Radio at Go Blue Radio. Our free show apps are available from the iTunes and Google Play stores, so check them out and take the show with you wherever you travel this summer. Our next scheduled show is on May 25th. But next week, I hope to have a Michigan Man Extra for you with special guest Shemi Schembeckler. So watch Twitter and Facebook for news on the release date of that program. That will do it for another week. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Thanks for joining us, and remember to tell your Michigan family and friends about the show. Have a great Wolverine week, everyone. Until next time, take care, and as always, go Blue. Thanks for joining us today on The Michigan Man, here on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Our listener lines are open 24/7 for your calls at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Or email us at themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. That's themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. The Michigan Man Podcast is produced at the studios of Robin Lynn Productions, Allen Park, Michigan, and is not affiliated with the University of Michigan. Go Blue!